Yeah.
So do you have anything to share about just sort of like the protection that the government has in place for international students?
Yeah, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, and just to emphasise, particularly to parents watching, because we just saw a beautiful story of a parent who's so invested in their child and in their child's future. And we really want parents to know that Australia has a very strong framework in place to protect the rights and interests of international students. So that is our piece of legislation that supports students, but I really want parents to understand that it's an active piece of legislation. We really mean it.
So coming back to the point about quality assurance, there's really a keen focus on making sure that everything is up to par.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Melissa, I'm just going to pick your brain a little bit. May I ask what kind of support is available for international students in terms of, finance or accommodation and all that jazz?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question, particularly during COVID. So maybe if I talk, initially about what's happening right now. So initially when COVID impacted the world, Australia closed its borders, and we had many international students located in Australia. Some chose to go home, most chose to stay. So it was really important that we looked after our international students. Certainly the institutions had a whole raft of support for students, and there were food packages and food pantries that were provided. Universities assisted with financially by helping students with repayment plans. Some universities were able to reduce their tuition fees a bit for some of the students, and certainly they provided a lot of academic support and a lot of well-being support through our various support arrangements. The state and territory governments worked with the federal government to ensure there was accommodation security, and altogether there was $1.5 billion of support provided to international students. But in more normal times, there's a huge range of financial support and student welfare initiatives that are available. Most institutions and universities help students find suitable accommodation, and academically strong students might qualify for a scholarship at their university, which will reduce the cost of tuition fees.
All right, that's fantastic to hear. Jen, obviously, I was an international student myself. I was studying abroad for 2.5, almost 3 years. And during my stay in another country, because I was so, pretty much cut off from my parents, I understand that they were constantly just worried and very, very nervous about how well I coped with just a new environment. So what kind of support is there for international students in that regard, just to assuage the concerns of parents?
Yeah, so we've talked, and Melissa highlighted a lot of the support that's available for individual students, and we talked about the frameworks. So you'll find that our individual institutions, they have a raft of support for international students in their care. That includes access to really top-notch mental health services, access to events in the community. I know that one vocational college in Melbourne called Holmes Glen TAFE, they actually have a cricket team for international students.
Wow.
So it's not just about making sure that agreements are in place and fees are protected and quality assurance system. That's all really important and underpins what we do. But at the heart of it is the individual student, and looking after the individual student's interests and making sure that everything we can do to help them when they're so far from home, we can do.